Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast, the Drafted Up Podcast. That's Nick. I'm Theo. We're over on Twitter at DraftedUp_pod. But more importantly, you can find the show over on Apple, YouTube, Spotify. Search Drafted Up Podcast. We're there. Like, rate, subscribe, review. Tell a friend. Do what you can. Today's Thursday, so we're going to dive into the remainder of the Week 17 championship game for fantasy matchups. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday slate. We're going to do our prospect series today because we couldn't get to it on Tuesday. And of course, we got our starts of the week. But more importantly, Nick, how you doing, dude?
Doing good. I somehow pulled out a miracle win last week with no Jalen Hurts, and it came down to a Monday, and I needed my defense, being the Packers defense, to get me 15. They got 17, and I'm clawing here in a championship game. My opponent had Lamar and Kelsey yesterday, so I'm already in an uphill battle, brother.
Yeah,
I'm exhausted.
Yeah, you're living off these Monday miracles. You are the Kansas City Chiefs. You're just getting these lucky bounces going your way. So we'll see how the rest of the week plays out for you in home league. I feel that. I'm so drained. The holidays
I'm exhausted. Yeah, for sure. I am dragging.
You forgot it was Thursday, and I said to Ash, and I'm just like, man, it's Thursday. We got a podcast today, and I cannot stay awake. So I got coffee.
I'm jealous. I got a water. I almost fell asleep waiting for you to send the link for the podcast. I'm like, I am dragging, dude. Work kicked my ass today, but we're here.
All right, let's dive in. Starts of the week. At quarterback, I'll kick it off here. I'm going with Justin Herbert of the Los Angeles Chargers. They're traveling to New England to take on the Patriots. No Gus Edwards. This guy was ruled out today. J.K. Dobbins is questionable, so he might return. He might not. If he doesn't, we're looking at a backfield led by Kamani Vidal and Hassan Haskins. The Chargers ain't going to win that way, so this game's going to fall all on Justin Herbert. The Chargers still have something to play for. They got to make the playoffs, and New England has been playing competitive football where offenses need to continue to score points. They almost beat Buffalo last week. So Herbert's got to go out there, and he's got to lead the Chargers. They're in the mix of a playoff race to win the wild card here in the AFC. I think it falls on his shoulders. I think he's going to come out and show why he's one of the premier quarterbacks in the NFL this Saturday against New England.
Yeah.
And he's a QB1 for me this week. And championship week, if he's your guy, I like it.
Yeah, for sure. I do. I dig it a lot. Speaking of something to play for, my start of the week here is the Washington Commanders starting quarterback Jaden Daniels, who are still playing for the division. They can still catch Philly in the NFC East here, but either way, they're still playing for a high spot wild card. So the last 4 weeks, Jaden Daniels has finished quarterback 1, 2, 7, and 1. Jaden Daniels has been carrying the Commanders for all season, to be honest. He's looked phenomenal. Last week, he had the huge 5-touchdown game, so I'm not going to say he's going to go out there and do better than last week or even as good, but Jaden Daniels is a lock this week versus Atlanta. Atlanta's still also playing for their division, so I expect both teams to go out here and do all they can to get points and score a bunch. 2 rookie quarterbacks in this game. Jaden Daniels has looked so good all season. I expect big things for the Commanders this week.
Yeah, who would have thought the Washington-Atlanta matchup would be featuring 2 rookie quarterbacks? There was a minimal % chance that happened, and here we got Penix versus Daniels, and it's easy to pass on Atlanta. A lot harder to run on them, so
for sure.
I like Daniels this week. He could be looking at a QB1 finish, not just the top 12, but he could be, again, quarterback 1. He's been incredible all year.
To pull off the QB1 spot last week versus Philly, like that's unheard of. Like this season, Philly's looked all like phenomenal in the secondary. So Dane Daniels had a huge outing versus Philly last week. So I expect another huge outing versus a way easier defense.
Yeah. Running back, I'm sticking with the rookie theme. I'm going with our guy, podcast fave, Bucky Irving versus the Carolina Panthers. A few weeks ago they played. He was my start of the week, and he was running back 1. Who's to say he can't do it again? The last 3 weeks, it's been a little shaky. Hasn't finished as an RB1. He's been outside the top 12 here the last 3 weeks. He's been banged up. But Tampa Bay, they need to win football games if they want to make the playoffs. Yeah. Atlanta currently holds the division lead. If Atlanta wins out, Atlanta makes the playoffs. So Tampa, every game here is a playoff game for them. And they're going to put it on the shoulders of the rookie back who's been carrying them here offensively. the last few weeks. He's been the motor, and when Bucky Irving goes, the passing game opens up for Baker, passing game opens up for Mike Evans, and that's what Tampa wants to do. They're going to wear Carolina down, who's playing really good football right now. And Bucky Irving last time, like I said, was RB1 against the Panthers, 30-plus points. He was incredible. He carried them to the overtime win. I expect that to continue. Bucky Irving against Carolina should be a huge matchup. Plus, Carolina, historically, this year is like the worst run defense team in NFL history.
Yeah, I mean, James Conner put up an RB1 outing on them in 2 quarters last week. So
he did his damnedest to try to get me to the championship.
He did.
James
He
Conner.
really did. My running back start of the week is Kyren Williams versus Arizona. The Rams are playing for the division. Kyren has been so good the last 4 weeks, 5 weeks, give or take. He had a rough stretch in the middle of the season, but he started the season so hot, went on his cold streak, and now he's back on that hot streak. He's had a touchdown in 4 of the last 5 games, one of those being a double-digit touchdown, or 2-touchdown game, double-digit touchdown game. Whoa. He does have 13 touchdowns on the year, though, so last week he went 23 for 122. That's over 5 a carry. The game before that was over 100 yards. 2 games before that was 100 yards. So 100 yards is really on the table here for Kyren in a championship week. A touchdown is pretty much on the likely side, which not a lot of guys are likely to score. Kyren is likely to get in. He's super touchdown likely, which is amazing for your RB1. I really expect Kyren Williams to be a top 12 RB here for championship week.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's a great matchup, too.
If the Rams want to make the playoffs and want to win the division, they need to put the ball
They got to go
in
through
Kyren
Kyren.
Williams' hands.
100%.
Matt Stafford is not going to lead them to the playoffs. He's not that guy anymore.
No. Like, Kyren's
He's
that guy.
much better.
And then go through
when the Rams
Puka.
are winning games, it's because of Kyren Williams.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah. Who you got over at wide receiver?
Sticking with the theme of Kyren, he's in my home league, so I'm just kind of trying to get some good vibes, good voodoo here for my team. It's Jawan Jennings, wide receiver for the Niners versus Detroit Monday night. You brought up earlier that I'm a Monday night miracle, and Jawan Jennings is my Monday night guy this week. My opponent doesn't have any Monday night guys now. I believe he benched them all. But Jawan Jennings, I got going on my side, and he's capable of putting up huge weeks. We've seen it already. Week 3, he had the 3-touchdown game. Week 14, he had 2 touchdowns. So, like, the touchdowns, they're a high possibility, but he's getting a ton of targets, and he's bringing in 60-65% of those targets usually. And the weather's not going to be an issue in Detroit. So all of his really bad games were weather-related and Purdy just not being able to pull it together in the weather. Jawan Jennings is going to be peppered with targets, especially in a high-scoring matchup versus Detroit. I expect Jawan Jennings to have the ability to go off this week. So I think his floor is really good, but I think his ceiling is extremely high. So Jawan Jennings, my start of the week.
Yeah, he was my start of the week last week. I was trying to will the Niners back into existence. I might have been a week off, but
you picked the wrong receiver last week. It was Debo.
Yeah. So I would never.
No.
I almost went Brock Purdy for start of the week at quarterback.
As did I, for sure.
I feel this game's going to be a shootout, especially with it's trending towards Garendo being back. I think that's huge for San Francisco if they want to hang in this game. This might be our last start of the weeks. I don't think we're going to do one week 18. We'll figure that out on the pod. So I got to give it to my favorite rookie prospect, Brian Thomas Jr. of the Jacksonville Jaguars, going to Tennessee. Tennessee, you're probably looking at a red matchup. It hasn't been a red matchup here lately. L'Jarius Sneed's been out for a few weeks, and Tennessee's defense they're in shambles. They're worn out. They're beat up. The offense isn't scoring enough, and this team is just tired. And Brian Thomas Jr., what if I tell you the last 2 weeks with Mac Jones at quarterback, he's been a top 5 fantasy wide receiver. He's been incredible. He's been the guy. He is the 6th ranked wide receiver in full PPR. Mm-hmm. He's having an incredible season. He's been super consistent too, which necessarily I didn't think was going to happen. I thought he was going to be a big boom play guy where he was going to have a ton of spike weeks and be really good for fantasy. But he's been a guy you can just put in your lineup, lock him in, forget it. And you usually don't have to worry about him bottoming you out. He's been really good this year, and I expect that to continue. Mac Jones, apparently loves Brian Thomas Jr., as do I. And I think we're looking at another potential top 5 finish this week against the Titans. The Jaguars, they feel like they're playing for something, whether it's for Doug Peterson's job or just to be like, hey, roll into next year on a high note.
Mm-hmm.
So I love Thomas here against the Tennessee Titans, who are playing to lose at this point.
That is true. Yeah, I got to give Black flowers to BTJ for the season he's had for sure. We talked about it on the offseason. I wasn't huge on him, but I expected him to go in there and have a decent rookie season because that's what Jaguars receivers do. But then I kind of expected him to fade away after his rookie season. That's just not going to happen. He's a legitimate wide receiver one. He's a dog. He's got the alpha mentality. So hats off to BTJ and the amazing rookie season he's had. It's truly something to talk about all season for sure.
Yeah.
You want me to go tight end?
I'll round it out. Tight end. We're getting gross. It's tight ends in general.
Yep.
But news just broke before we started recording that CeeDee Lamb is going to be out for the Dallas Cowboys. So, locking him in. Big Biscuit himself, Jake Ferguson against the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles are a tough matchup for tight ends. I get it. But Dallas has been playing really good football.
Mm-hmm.
They've been passing the ball really well. Shout out Cooper Rush. When he first got in, I was saying just put Trey Lance in and roll the season out. But Cooper Rush, the defense is getting healthy. Someone's got to get these targets. Jake Ferguson had 10 targets last week against Tampa Bay on Sunday night. So I think he's going to be the benefactor of CeeDee Lamb being out against Philadelphia. I expect him to see his targets. It's going to be ugly. They're going to be gross targets, but the volume's going to be there, and he could just volume his way to a really good week at a weak position. And potentially, if you're juggling tight ends and he's available, I think he's a guy you can plug and play this week with no CeeDee Lamb in a tough matchup. But I expect double-digit targets again here for Jake Ferguson against Philadelphia.
Yeah, I love it. I watched that game pretty detailed last week, that Dallas game. Ferguson, all his targets were disgusting, but with CD gone, his targets, they're still going to be pretty gross, but he's going to have actual possibility to get 10, 15 yards down the field on some of these targets now. They're not all going to be 2-yard targets. So I do like Ferguson a lot. Start of the week here, tight end. He is owned in 20% of leagues, and he's only started in 10%. It's Chigakonko, Tennessee Titans versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. Your start of the week from receiver in that game. Mine, tight end for the Tennessee Titans. Oof. He had 10 targets 2 weeks ago, 11 targets last week. He brought in 8 2 weeks ago, and he brought in 9 last week. He went 9 for 81. He has no touchdowns over the last 2 stretches, but Mason Rudolph is able to complete. He loves him, but he's able to complete the ball at a high percentage, which Will Levis could not do if you paid him millions of dollars to do it. Mason Rudolph has completed 20 passes in the last 2 games. Will Levis has only done that once all season. So if you look at the completions, they're all going to Chig and Calvin Ridley, and these 2 guys are just getting high-peppered targets. And Chig is going to PPR his way to a top 5 tight end finish. He's already tight end 7, tight end 2 the last 2 weeks. I expect it to happen again. I'm starting Chig over TJ Hawkinson pretty confidently this week. So I'm riding dirty here in Chig in a championship week. Yeah. So get dirty, get nasty.
I love Chigakonko. That he's always been a dude that I wanted to break out last year. It didn't happen. But he's been a strong fantasy playoff performer the last 2 years. He's Juwan Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get the ball in this guy's hands. Let him do some work. He had a 70-yard touchdown earlier this year.
Yeah.
Freak athlete. He's Mason Rudolph's number 1, number 2 target with Calvin Ridley. I love the shout out there. Jacksonville, the worst in the league against tight ends for fantasy purposes. So I think it's a good shout out. Tennessee. This could be a shootout. Jacksonville's defense not very good.
Yeah.
Tennessee, just in general, not playing good football right now. But I like it. I'm actually in a league, 2 QB league, and my 2 quarterbacks this week are Mason Rudolph and Mac Jones.
Yeah, I have Hurts in our home league, and Mason Rudolph was honestly one of the 3 quarterbacks that I'm looking at to pick up and start possibly. He just has a really good floor. He's not going to take the top off of any defense fantasy-wise, but I know he's a guy that can go out there and get me almost 20 points in a fantasy game. So
Yeah.
I'd happily take that. So I'll
Now-
ride and dirty here with Tennessee this week.
Yeah. Dirty, nasty players win titles. There's always a few.
Yep.
And this might be Chigakonkwo might be the top one this year.
He's not a huge touchdown guy. Like he has 2 touchdowns on the year, which is 2 more than Trey McBride. One of them's
2 more receiving touchdowns than Trey. Trey McBride has 2 touchdowns.
2 touchdowns, 1 fumble, 1 rushing. One was the 70-yard touchdown we brought up, but then the other one was week 1 when he only had 2 catches. So I'm praying, dude, he gets the high targets. He brings in a bunch of them, and then he finds his way in the end zone this week. If he gets a touchdown this week and he pulls off what he's been doing the last 2, Chig's going to be tight end 1 this week.
Yeah. He's got that kind of upside.
Yep.
All right. Before we dive into the Saturday, Sunday, Monday slate, let's shout out a new friend of ours at Cafe Colazzo. I'm drinking some right now. Got a nice medium roast here. Trying to stay cool in this disgusting winter weather. Cafe Colazzo, they get coffee beans, no powder. You grind it yourself, brew it, and if you're a coffee drinker like I am, coffee beans, when you grind it yourself, it just tastes so much better. A little bit fresher. It doesn't kind of have that. Sometimes you get a ground coffee, it's a little dirt tasting. Not Cafe Colazzo. They got 3 roasts out right now. They got a light roast, a medium, and a dark. I've had the light roast. It's incredible. I'm not a light roast guy, but it's probably one of my favorite light roasts I've ever drank. The medium roast slaps. I can't wait to dive into the dark roast. But go to cafecolazzo.com. That's Cafe, C-A-F-E, Colazzo, C-O-L-L-A-Z-O. Rolls off the tongue real nice. And of course, use the code DRAFTEDUP at checkout for a nice 10% discount, and you'll be supporting the podcast. Support our friends over at Cafe Colazzo. They're based right out of here, Philadelphia. So rock on, Cafe Colazzo. That's C-O-L-L-A-Z-O. Get yourself some good coffee. Grounds suck, beans rock. All right.
I'm not huge on actual coffee, but I do like beans. You coat them in chocolate and you refrigerate them. Chocolate covered coffee beans, dude, slap. So I'm a big bean guy, so I do like that.
Well, you don't like black beans or kidney beans?
No, good God, no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That freaks out my tism, dog. The texture. You got to have the crunch that the coffee beans have.
Yeah, Nick's. You won't find those beans in Nick's bean power ranking.
No. Coffee beans.
All right. Yeah. Week 17, we're starting. We got Saturday games.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. The LA Chargers traveling to New England to take on the Patriots. Chargers are 4-point favorites on the road, over under 42.5. Start of the week, Justin Herbert for me. I think it's a good play against New England, especially no run game. Like, we'll see if J.K. Dobbins is out there, and even if he is, I think he's going to have a small workload. Like, there's going to be limitations to how much they're giving him the ball. They're not going to force feed this dude everything going into the playoff run when they're going to need him.
I think it depends on how he goes at practice. I know he was listed as questionable, and he hasn't really done much. But I think there's a chance he's a full go on Saturday.
Okay, you're a little more confident than I am.
Yeah,
I think he's on a pitch count.
I would honestly be cool starting Dobbins in a flex. I don't think he's gonna be an RB2, but I think you can start Dobbins this week if he's a full go, and like watch practice reports because he's obviously playing Saturday, so tomorrow's the big day. If he's limited and just see how he's limited in practice, I'm cool going with Dobbins.
Okay, now if Dobbins is out.
No.
Are you willing to ride Kamani Vidal? No.
No.
Okay.
It can't be done championship week. You got to have someone on your bench you're more confident in.
That's fair. Yeah. Receiving crew wise, it's just Ladd McConkey.
Yeah.
You're not going to I'm not messing around with Quentin Johnston or Will Dissly or Josh Palmer here championship week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ladd's a lock, dude. He's been so consistent pretty much since week 8, his New Orleans game. He went 6 for 111, and it hasn't been different since then. It's been consistent. I don't know which words I was looking for there. Yeah. He's had a couple 100-yard games since week 8, so Ladd, just don't even think about it. You're starting Ladd.
Yeah. Laddie Daddy, the king of cat shit mountain, right?
Laddie Daddy.
But
he's pretty much the only guy on the Chargers besides Dobbins that I'm cool looking at here.
Yeah, and then New England, I feel we have this conversation every week. Ramondre Stevenson is the only piece of the offense who really could play. I don't know if I want to play him.
You can't. Jared Mayo came out and said that he might get benched again. He keeps fumbling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know. Last time Mayo brought
the...
up him being benched, it was literally for just the first carry of the game. But Ramondre, there's a legitimate chance he fumbles his first carry and then he just doesn't come back in. Like, if there's talks that you're going to get benched, you cannot play that guy championship week.
Are you willing to mess around with Antonio Gibson then?
I'm cool rostering Gibson right now just on possibility of like Ramondre being like pay attention to games, but like if Gibson's a go and you need to play someone, you can put him in just in case Ramondre shits the bed.
Yeah.
I'm not confidently playing him, but he should be on rosters at this point just in case.
Yeah, that would be a good pivot option. Except this is the first game on Saturday, so it makes it a little difficult.
It's hard.
If you're in sleeper and you have the auto sub feature, which is a great feature, you can lock him in as a guy. Like say you have Alvin Kamara, and if he doesn't play, you have sub in Antonio
James
Gibson.
Conner. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's a couple guys that are questionable.
What about Drake May?
I was just about to bring up Drake May as a Jalen Hurts owner. People, I'm going to be naming off quarterbacks throughout the episode that you can play, and Drake May is currently on my roster. I got him on waivers. He's one of the three guys that I'm looking at kind of if I have to play someone. Drake May, the last 3 games, has been over 20 points in our league. He's been a QB 12 2 of the last 3 weeks. It's not beautiful. It's not going to be fun, but you can flex in Drake May if Jalen Hurts doesn't go.
Yeah, Drake May, for like being a rookie, you would expect some peaks and valleys, but
he's been consistent.
Relatively consistent
with nothing.
For fantasy.
With arguably the worst offensive line in football, on a horrendous run game, and your best receiver is a wide receiver 3 on most teams in the NFL. Like, Drake May's a legitimate superstar in the making. New England needs to get this guy help.
It's bad when his top targets are essentially Hunter Henry and Austin Hooper, who are past their prime tight ends.
Oh yeah,
but Drake May's rushing upside gives him a really good floor in fantasy. So I don't mind it if you're in the Hurts situation and you need a potential plug and play. I get it Saturday, but if you have that auto sub feature, I think Drake May's a good one to sub in there. Yep. I like the floor for Drake May. Yeah,
I agree. He's a really safe floor championship week, especially versus the Chargers. Like, you can pass on the Chargers defense. It's possibility that Drake May finishes towards the QB1 spots here.
Yeah,
not the number 1 spot, but
boys up
a top 12. Who did?
Top 12. Yep, Baker.
Oh yeah,
Put these boys up.
Baker's a dog, dude. He's got that.
Who wins this one?
The Chargers.
Chargers on the road. I agree.
Yeah.
A 4-point spread, though. We're giving some respect here to New England. They keep games close. So.
That's surprising. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. All right, next up on Saturday, the Denver Broncos. This game's got huge implications. Go to Cincinnati to take on the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are 3.5-point home favorites. A beautiful over-under of 49.5.
You have the weather for this game?
I actually did just look up the weather because I was looking at Bo Nix as a potential start of the week. Rain. I know. But the wind has died down. A few days ago, it was projecting where they were going to get like 20, 30 mile per hour winds. It's now down to the 8 to 10 range, which is
that's
fine.
That's good. Okay, that's fine. Okay, and that's what I was worried about. I was worried about the really bad weather here.
Yeah. Denver side, they're easy. Denver's one of the easier teams, especially with everything being at the end of the year. It's Bo Nix. He's playable. He's a starter this week. And Cortland Sutton. I guess you could say Marvin Mims or try to, but because it's the Bengals. But if I would have to take a shot on another Bronco that's not Cortland Sutton or Bo Nix, I would put Marvin Mims next in line.
Yeah, he would be my number 2, with Devon Vele being close 3, but it's just Cortland Sutton. I wouldn't even look at Marvin Mims. You got to go find someone else. Like, if you're really hurting that bad, I don't know how you made it to the championship, to be honest.
Maybe if CeeDee Lamb.
Pick up one of the Dallas guys.
Yeah, but tougher matchup there.
Oh,
I think I'd rather
100%.
shoot. I think I'd rather shoot for an upside guy like Marvin Mims than a floor guy in Brandon Cooks or Jalen Tolbert.
Tolbert, definitely, but I would take
But
Cooks in a heartbeat
I,
over him.
I would honestly pick up Jalen Coker if I was in that situation
I
for
think
Carolina.
Brandon Cooks has a nice sneaky option here to get a good like 6 for 70 and a tutty.
I don't like that against Philly, but Cincinnati, Denver though. We'll get to Philly then. Cincinnati also another easy team.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Burrow, Chase Brown, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins if he's playing.
If he plays.
Yeah. Would you go with Yoshi Voss if T. Higgins doesn't play?
Over like Mims, yes, but not many others.
Okay. Yeah, I would put Yoshi in the same, but like I would rather start him over the Dallas guys if I had to pivot off CeeDee Lamb. I would and if T
Higgins doesn't go,
if T
yeah.
Higgins is in, I'm not putting Yoshi Voss. I'm not banking on him getting a touchdown because that's all you would need. Then he would need a touchdown because he doesn't get enough passing work when T Higgins is in there.
Yeah, if T Higgins plays, Yoshi Voss is off the table. But if he doesn't, I'd probably take him over the Dallas guys. I agree to that.
So you worried about Chase Brown? He kind of had his first dud week last week here. Do you think the workload's catching up to him, or you just think it was just a situational thing there for him, only having less than 10 or a little over 10 points
in full PPR? I don't know. He still had a good real life game. He was 18 for 91, which still averages over 5 yards a carry. He brought in all of his targets. He was 3 targets, 3 receptions. I'm still cool with Chase Brown. He was just getting a ton of touchdowns over the last 6 weeks. He just didn't happen to score.
This game should also be a shootout. The game against Cleveland, they didn't have to score a ton of points.
That was a dud game.
Chase Brown, he's this close to breaking 1,000 yards on the season rushing.
Yeah.
Which is crazy considering he didn't come in as a starter till halfway through the year.
Yeah, he'll definitely get that. But
he's 77 yards.
Yeah, all the way up until week 1 through 5, he played in 40 or less % of snaps.
Yeah.
So once the switch there, week 6 through 8, he kind of went up to like 60, high 60s, low 60s, mid 60s. But after that, dude, he's been 80, 87% of snaps. Chase Brown's just been a true workhorse back the last 6-7 weeks. And if teams are lucky enough to have him, you play him.
Yeah, I have him. I'm playing him.
You are. Not a championship.
Yeah, I am. No. Get that third place game over my best friend. That's playing. I never get to play my best friend that often in fantasy. We never lock into the same division, so it's nice I get a chance to play him one last time this year. But yes, I lock in Chase Brown, lock in Jamar Chase, lock in T. Higgins if he's in the game, and then Joe Burrow, obviously, put him in.
For sure.
Are you as confident in Bo Nix as I am? I think Bo Nix is a fringe QB1 this week.
I wasn't until the weather dipped back down to reasonable.
Just rain.
If it was 20, 30 mile per hour gust, I would try to get out of Bo Nix.
Yeah, I would even be worried about Burrow if that was the case. But I'm not going to. It's tough to pivot away from Burrow.
I wouldn't bench Burrow. I would bench Bo Nix. Like, there's no weather scenario bad enough to bench Burrow, because if it's bad enough, the game's just going to get canceled.
Yeah. But Bo Nix or Kyler Murray? I know we're down on Kyler Murray, but he's got a nice matchup. We'll talk about him next against the Rams.
Probably Bo Nix, to be honest.
Okay. It's in a dome, no weather.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. I think I would also lean Bo. Kyler is kind of souring.
Yeah, I think Bo's
floor is a lot better than Kyler Murray's.
I think Bo has the higher ceiling too, to be honest. In a shootout versus Cincinnati?
Yeah.
I don't expect the Rams Arizona to really be a shootout. With the Rams have just been playing boring football, and the Chargers have just been bad the last couple of weeks.
What if James Conner doesn't play? Does that make you go up on Kyler? Because then Michael Carter's their starting running back.
Probably a little bit more, because I think his rushing upside is like, his passing work wouldn't change much, but I think he would add another 20, 30 yards on the ground, which is huge for fantasy.
Bo Nix or Anthony Richardson?
Bo Nix.
All right. Who wins on Saturday?
Cincinnati. I don't pick them often.
Whoa. Nick took the Bengals.
It just seems like it's gonna happen. Denver just hasn't been the same. Like, it happened 2-3 years ago. When did it happen? Where Denver just started off fine and they just fell apart at the end of the season.
Fell apart. Yeah.
Like,
I'm also picking the Bengals.
It's nothing Sean Payton's really doing. Bo Nix is still playing fine ball. It's just it's like the injury and the lack of run games really starting to catch up to him.
Yeah, let's be real though. The Bengals are going to win out, which is what they need to do to get to the playoffs. But they need other stuff to happen. Mm-hmm. The Colts need to lose a game along the way. The Dolphins also need to lose a game all along the way, and Denver has to lose out. I could see Cincinnati doing it, winning out, and then something's going to happen where one of those other pieces don't fall in line. Because it's the Bengals. That's just how their luck has gone all season.
Nothing they can do about it.
Yeah. I know Nick's really hoping the Colts don't make the playoffs. And he's got to watch Anthony Richardson play football.
I don't, because then that's just more eyes on this guy completing 20% of his passes. Ugh, God, I hate that guy.
All right. Final Saturday game, the Arizona Cardinals play the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams are 6.5-point favorites here at home. Over under of 47.5. Their line. The Rams are favored by a 0.5 point less than the Eagles are, and the Eagles are playing the Cowboys without CeeDee Lamb. So this tells me the line's indicating that there might not be James Conner. I think if James Conner plays, this game is close.
The Eagles game you can't really look at because they don't know if Hurts is playing. I think the Eagles game, I think the line would be different, and Kenny Pickett's also hurt. So there's a chance we legitimately see Tanner McKee out there for Philly, which would be horrendous for A.J. Brown owners. Me.
Horrendous for the Eagles' offense. I would even be worried about. Yeah, but I think then he loses a little bit of fantasy value as well.
He does, because they'd be able to stack the box, but the amount they'd be giving it to Barkley, he's gonna break one of them off. He's just that talented.
Yeah. All right. Arizona, Kyler Murray, you can play him. I would try to pivot away. I would have him outside my QB1. I would have him probably in the 13 to 15 range. Mm-hmm. So, like, I'd rather go with Brock Purdy this week. Definitely. I'd rather go with Justin Herbert.
Jared Goff.
I'd rather go with Bo Nix. Jared Goff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you try and pivot away from Kyler Murray this week, especially if James Conner's not out there. I don't know. I worry that like he's the focal point. James Conner is this offense. If he's not out there, I worry that this offense doesn't move the ball. And then it's just an ugly day in general for Arizona.
Yeah, it definitely has the possibility. Oh, man. I think you can play Murray if you have him and you can't obviously get out of it. Like, the guys we've named aren't going to be on the waiver market. But I would start Murray over Drake May, Bryce Young, Kyle Rudolph. Good God. Mason Rudolph.
Kyle Rudolph.
I would start Murray over guys like
Geno
that.
Geno Smith tonight? What about the quarterbacks playing Thursday being Geno and Caleb?
I would probably still roll with Murray over those two guys.
I would as well. But I would put them close.
They are very close.
Yeah. James Conner, if he plays,
start him.
You might have to temper your expectations, but he's a tough dude. He's going to play. If he plays, he's going to play through it, and he'll be fine for fantasy. He's been great all year. Trey McBride, you're not going to pivot away from Trey McBride after one bad game. Plus, he's tight end 3 on the season, so it'd be a wild move.
I actually think Trey McBride's in line. Trey McBride is in line, not for a touchdown. No. Okay. Good God. But I think he's going to have a huge game. Like, he was very vocal about his frustrations after the game last week. He had 4 yards?
Yeah, he had like 2 targets all game.
His 3 catches for 20 yards. Yeah, that is a horrendous stat line for a guy that was constantly open and just running the right routes. I really think McBride is in for a monster week here. And if you're lucky enough to have him in championship weeks, ride out with him. He got you there.
Not last week, last week was his lowest performance of the year. His lowest was week 3 when he got 5.5, and he got hurt mid-game in full PPR. But yeah, this is a dude who's getting 12, 13, 14 points a game, and then PPR wise, it just keeps going up because he gets a bulk load of targets of late where he was getting 25, 21, 17 points. He's putting up wide receiver numbers at the tight end position, which you love because tight end positions are weak. So if you get a guy who can put up a huge ceiling, it puts you in a advantage situation against your opponent. I think McBride's gonna be fine. He's gonna have a great week this week. He's gonna score a receiving touchdown week 18 when it doesn't matter for fantasy.
Yeah, for sure. When you were doing his points per game, you're going 12, 13, 14. I thought you were going to literally say targets per game. And I'm like, that's what he's been getting the last 4 games. Last week obviously wasn't it. But the 4 games before that, 15 targets, 12 targets, 14 targets, 10 targets. He's broken the NFL record for targets without a touchdown in the season. So
and receptions for a tight end.
At some point, it's going to happen. Like you said, it's probably going to be week 18 when it doesn't matter. But regardless, if he gets in the end zone or not this week, McBride is going to have a monster week. I'm locking that in.
Yeah, we were worried. The big worry for Trey McBride going into the season was how much does Marvin Harrison cut into his workload? Mm-hmm. It's been how much does Trey McBride just cut into everyone's workload that's not James Conner in Arizona? Because I don't know if you can play Marvin Harrison at this point.
Not this week. You don't. You're not playing Marvin this week. My main concern with McBride in the offseason was he only had 3 touchdowns last year, so how many can he possibly get this year? It's going to be 3 to 5. It's been 0, but it hasn't mattered. He's still tight end 3 in full PPR. So without the touchdowns, McBride's still a phenomenal option.
Yeah, Marvin Harrison, you said you can't play him. 4 of the last 5 weeks, he's been under 10 in full PPR.
Yeah. So imagine what he has in half-point PPR, dude. It's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah, it has been a frustrating ride for Marvin Harrison. I don't think all of it's on him. I brought this up on Tuesday. It's play calling. It's playing him like he's actually a big-bodied receiver, and he is prototypically by the way he's built, yes, but he doesn't play that way. And they're not using him in ways they should be utilizing him like Sean McVay does Puka Nacua and D'Amico and crew utilize Nico Collins. Get him open in the middle of the field, hit him in stride, and let him just run. He's an athlete. He's really good with the ball in his hand, but they want to throw jump balls to him. What do I know? I'm not an NFL coach. I'm a couch coach, I guess. Couch coach.
Marvin Harrison plays smaller than Malik Nabers. And there's a drastic height difference between those two. It's 4 inches. But Malik Nabers plays bigger than Marvin Harrison. Marv just isn't that kind of he's a great receiver and he's going to have an amazing career. But they need to work him into the offense. You need to scheme him open. But it has been a huge letdown rookie season for Marvin Harrison Jr. And that's coming from me, who had him ranked way lower than most NFL fantasy football analysts. But even to my eyes, it's been a big letdown.
He's 36th in full PPR.
I think I had him 18 or 19 going into the season, which was really low for Marv. He's
36. T. Higgins is 31, and T. Higgins has missed 5 games.
Yeah. I mean, Puka Nacua didn't really play football until week 8, and he's wide receiver 26.
Yeah. Marvin Harrison or Josh Downs this week?
Give me Josh Downs.
I think
he's the only receiver on the Colts I'd be not confident to play, but willing to play. Richardson can't spread the ball enough, but Josh Downs has consistently done it enough to show that he's the receiver you want from the Colts, fantasy-wise.
How about Marv or Jacoby Myers?
Jacoby Myers. He's been way too consistent.
Last one, Marv or Deebo Samuel?
Give me Marv. No, give me Deebo. Give me Deebo. No. I'll roll off Deebo's huge performance last week. I love the Detroit matchup Monday night. I would feel way more comfortable with Deebo in my lineup this week than Marv.
I was going to say, Deebo's points last week was his first
Oh,
game
yeah.
over 10 in full PPR in 6 weeks.
He's been horrendous.
Yeah, I would go Marv over Debo. But the others,
I
I
get
agree.
that,
Downs and Jacoby. And then the Rams, easy. Kyron, Puka.
Super easy.
Then it's just Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp's the question.
What do you do with Cooper? It's tough
personally
to bench
benched him. I personally benched him for. I'm blessed enough to be able to not play Joe Mixon and Cooper Kupp this week for guys like Kyron Williams, Juwan Jennings, AJ Brown, Bijan.
So,
and there's someone else for sure in that lineup. But Cooper Kupp has just been horrendous the last 2 weeks. It's been 3 targets for no catches, 3 targets for 3 catches. It's a fine matchup, but again, it's a division game, so it could really just go out there and be a brutal matchup where they're just running the ball constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Puka's super safe, but Cooper's not.
Where do you put Cooper Kupp with those guys we mentioned with Marv, Josh Downs?
Oh, I'd go Kupp over those
Myers. Guys. Okay,
I would go Kupp over them. I have Kupp really close to Juwan Jennings this week. He's probably just right on the cuffs of a wide receiver too, like 25.
Okay. Cooper Kupp or Jordan Addison? Addison's got a little tougher matchup against Green Bay.
Give me Kupp, but just slightly.
Okay. I would lean Addison. I think he's got a
I get that
ceiling compared, and
his ceiling's way higher than Kupp's.
And that's not a homer take because Nick will vouch that Jordan Addison is not exactly my cup of tea.
Oh, 100%
for Minnesota.
If you want a Jordan Addison guy in the podcast, it's not the Vikings fan. It's me. I love Jordan Addison back in Pittsburgh, USC. He's been a guy that I've just loved following.
Is Jordan Addison the greatest wide receiver on earth? He made Kenny Pickett. He got Kenny Pickett to be a first-round pick. Then he got Caleb Williams Heisman. And now he's making Sam Darnold look great.
Hey, he's a guy you want on your team. He's a field stretcher. He can run the route tree for a guy with what he does with his speed. I love Jordan Addison. There's not many flaws I had on him coming out of college. So, but I would slightly go Cooper Kupp above him.
Yeah. Ridley and
or
Khalil Shakir or Kupp.
Give me Ridley over Kupp over Shakir.
Okay. Last one, Jameson Williams on Monday night.
Oh, man.
Polar opposite players.
It depends on what you need in that matchup. Like, I get it's a Monday night, but if you're the underdog, start Jameson Williams. He has the potential to go out there and drop a 30 bomb, a huge 80-yard touchdown. So, underdog, go JMO. If you're the favorite by a lot, go Cooper Kupp. He's got a good floor.
Yeah. I was going to ask Xavier Worthy, but he already played, so hindsight's 2020 there.
Dude,
he's been great lately.
You and I have not been Worthy supporters or truthers on the pod.
We did it again.
But come the offseason, we really have to talk about Worthy.
We wrote this dude off. We did it with DeAndre Swift. Yep. He blew up, and now he's back to where he belongs. Somebody else we did it with, and now we did it to Xavier Worthy. We just got to ship guys off into the wind, off into the sunset, and then they boom.
I think we did it to Chuba Hubbard like back-to-back weeks. It was like Kansas City and someone else. We just completely wrote off Chuba.
Disrespected Chuba Hubbard.
But
all right, who wins? Rams, Cardinals.
Oh, the Rams. The Rams have they've been playing really boring football, but they've been playing good football.
Winning football. Yeah, I agree. I'm picking the Rams as well. All right, Sunday slate. The Jets, they travel to Buffalo to take on the Bills. The Bills are 9.5-point home favorites, over under of 46.5. The 9.5 tells me Vegas is not worried about Josh Allen's injury.
He logged the full practice today. He's good to go.
Yeah, that's good.
Yep.
It's good. It would be detrimental if you lost Josh Allen championship week.
Oh, kind of like losing Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts, yeah. Buffalo, James Cook's been playing great football.
Oh, phenomenal.
Put him in your lineup. And the Buffalo receivers are
Here's the only one you can look at. Coleman and Cooper, I
agree, and I would even try to get my way out of Khalil Shakir this week just because of the offense just feels real volatile right now.
I'm cool with Shakir in full point PPR as like a flex. I think he's got a good floor. But like the other two, you just have to look at their like points the last 2-3 weeks and don't even look at their names. They're just not startable options. You cannot start Keon Coleman, and you should have cut Amari Cooper 2 weeks ago. He's just not the same. After that big week he had versus the Rams, Detroit, he goosed. New England, he had 2 targets, 1 catch for 10 yards. So, I don't know what their plan is here for Amari Cooper. He's still a great receiver. I will go to bat for Amari Cooper. He's one of the best route runners in the NFL. He's not fitting here in Buffalo. I'm excited for his offseason, though. He could go somewhere big.
Yeah, especially if the Bills win the Super Bowl. That'll get him a little extra pay bump.
Yeah, even if it's not on him.
Yeah. Dalton Kincaid, he's the only other one.
Man, no. Nah, because even in full-point PPR, he still kind of shit the bed last week. It was 4 catches for 15.
He's just really rock. He's Evan Ingram at this point. Just rocking those just low floor games with no real upside because he doesn't score touchdowns.
Yeah, he has no upside at all. So, yeah, I would try to pivot. Like I brought up with Chig in the start of the week, he's only rostered in 20% of leagues. Go out there and get Chig people.
Get Chig Okonkwo.
100%.
Yeah. Jets, Devontae Adams. Hell yeah. He's getting a ton of targets.
Yeah.
And he's getting the good targets. Garrett Wilson also getting a ton of targets. His just aren't as good.
Yeah, it's Adams didn't practice this today, but he still should be good to go. And Garrett Wilson's he's getting consistent the last 3 weeks. And he's out there. He's playing 100% of snaps, 98% of snaps. So Garrett Wilson's just always on the field. What's up? Him or Cooper Kupp?
Yeah.
Garrett Wilson.
I agree. Breece Hall?
Started.
Great matchup. Yeah. I think you can play him.
Jacksonville, he had a rough rushing game, but he got into the end zone. And then last week he played the Rams. 4 for 52, but he was heavily involved in the passing game. He had 6 targets, 5 catches. And Buffalo, you can really, really get work in the passing game from the backfield. So if Breece Hall has the same amount of targets, expect a huge outing here for Breece.
You cool streaming Aaron Rodgers this week? Or is he not even in contention?
Not really. He kind of dropped the ball last week. If he had a big week versus the Rams, I would be a lot more comfortable playing him.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Bills win.
Bills win.
Bills win. The Indianapolis Colts travel to New York to take on the Giants. The Colts are 7.5-point road favorites.
Up it.
Over under a 40. That's gross.
Lower it.
Which is crazy because we got 2 of the next 3 games are under 40.
That's crazy.
You don't like him. I like Anthony Richardson this week. He's a good stream option. He has QB1 in terms of top 12 potential just because of the matchup. He was running work. He can get rushing touchdowns and that's where it goes. His bad real life quarterback, good to great fantasy quarterback. Jonathan Taylor, you're going to put him in off of his huge performance against the Giants, who are just decrepit at this
horrendous.
point. And then if you want to call your shot on Josh Downs, I respect that. I would do the same. I'm not doing it with Michael Pittman though.
No, you can play Downs. He had a big fantasy outing. It was 3 for 61, but he had a big touchdown last week versus Tennessee. Richardson literally only passed the ball 11 times, so the volume for these receivers isn't going to be enough to go around, but it's enough for Josh Downs to have a huge play. Michael Pittman can't break one off for 50, 60 yards, where Josh Downs could do that maybe twice. He's that kind of guy. He's that athletic, and he makes up for Richardson's flaws. Pittman can't do that. So I'm really looking at Jonathan Taylor as a must start. Downs is flexible, and Richardson is a low-end stream option.
Yeah. I think he's got top 12 potential this week.
I mean, sure, he has top 12 potential every week, to be honest, but when's he going to hit it?
Well, he hit it against New England when he was my start of the week. I think he can hit it against the Giants. I think it's really realistic. Him or Tua, who you starting?
Tua, he's way safer.
Okay, see, that's insane. I would much rather play Richardson than Tua.
I would not. I seen that stretch where Tua went on. It was 4 or 5 weeks. He was quarterback 1 in fantasy. There's not a realm in this universe where Anthony Richardson could do that.
I think matchup line he could.
Ugh.
He's last 5 weeks, 28, 13, 23, 15, 21. Those are
Yeah,
good games.
he's only been a QB 12 3 times all season. And one of them's week 1.
Week 1, and then was it against New England, then week 11?
It was week 1 versus Houston, week 11 versus the Jets, week 13 versus New England.
Okay. Yeah. I only have the numbers in front of me. I didn't have the opponents.
The last 2 weeks, he's been 15 and 14. I think that's where he finishes, around there. I think he's going to be like QB 15.
But if you get 21 and 23, if you get those, you're going to be happy, even if he's just outside the top 12.
I agree.
I think Richardson's a good stream option this week.
I think he's nothing more, nothing less.
If he's out there and you're the Jalen Hurts owner, he would be my top priority.
I would take Drake May, but then I would take him over Bryce Young and Mason Rudolph. I'll give you that.
Giants, also easy. Tyrone Tracy, if he's out there.
It's Tracy and Neighbors. Yeah,
yep.
That's it.
Not Wandale.
No.
Can you mess with Wandale? His stat line was similar to Malik Neighbors last week.
It was. He went 7 for 62. And the last 3 weeks, his targets have been up there. It's been 11, 9, and 12. But those have been all horrendous pass defenses, being New Orleans, Baltimore, and Atlanta. You can pass on all 3 of those teams. Indy's not a hard matchup. It's a little harder than those 3, though. Man, if you're hurting bad as hell for Wandale, but I guess you can look at him for 8 to 10 points in a full point PPR.
Yeah, if you need a good floor guy, he's your option. But I'd rather the Denver guys. I'd rather take a shot on Marvin Mims and play Wandale Robinson.
Way higher upside for sure, and the floor's about the same with Mims, to be honest. Yeah, but if it's like half point PPR or half point per first down, I'm not looking Wandale's way at all.
Colts win?
Yeah, Colts win. Hopefully.
Colts win. Hopefully. The Cowboys travel to Philly to take on the Eagles. Eagles are 7-point home favorites and over under a very gross one of 39. No CD Lamb, that's confirmed. Jalen Hurts, that's up in the air. AJ Brown was questionable, downgraded to questionable, so monitor that. That's fun. That happened while we were recording. I got a notification about that. That could just be a typical.
It's the knee injury he's been dealing with, quote for quote, for the last couple weeks. I think it's just a rest day for Brown, to be honest. Kenny Pickett's also hurt.
Full practice today for Kenny Pickett.
Love it.
Hurts did not practice. This is as of 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, I know Hurts didn't practice.
So he is still in protocol.
Hurts.
So I think you go in Sunday, Jalen Hurts isn't playing.
Hurts isn't going to practice all week. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Tomorrow, he's not going to practice. There is a chance he clears concussion protocol Saturday or even Sunday morning. If he plays, it's going to be on no practice. And if he plays, you play Jalen Hurts. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If Hurts is in, you're in with Hurts. I made a joke today at work. One of the guys came up to me. He's an Eagles fan. He goes, "So who are you playing if you don't play Hurts?" I'm like, "I'll bench my whole team. We go down with the captain, dude. We sink with the ship." It was a joke, obviously, but like Hurts has been that guy. That's what that meaning is. He has gotten me this far, regardless of the situation. If Jalen Hurts plays, you play Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. His floor is better than
everybody's.
Potential ceilings for some of the guys you're going to be picking up at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you are a Hurts owner, honestly, I'd clear my whole bench and pick up every quarterback that's viable and figure it out. You're going to get in your own head. If you have the auto sub feature, I think Drake May might be the best one. If Anthony Richardson's there, Anthony Richardson for me is the top guy in that regards. It would be like him and Caleb, and then I'd go to Drake May and Bryce Young.
Yeah, the Hurts thing is so risky, dude. But other than Hurts, though, the Eagles, Barkley, he's a go regardless. You start him. Brown was he was heavily targeted with Kenny Pickett.
Kenny Pickett, loved that guy.
So regardless of if it's Hurts or Pickett, Brown's going to be heavily involved. So Brown's a start. Smith is the one you kind of have to worry about if Kenny Pickett's a go.
I'm not playing him.
I agree.
I'm not playing Devonta Smith.
If Hurts plays, I'm playing Smith. I'm cool with that. He had a huge game versus Pittsburgh 2 weeks ago. He went 11 for 109 and a touchdown. And it's Dallas, dude. He kills Dallas. So if Hurts is in, Smith is in for me. They go 1-1.
Okay. I would move him into flex consideration if Hurts is there, but low end flank, I'd be iffy on him just because of off the concussion. I don't know how much involvement he'll actually see, or if I'm going to bank on a Eagles receiver, it's going to be AJ Brown.
Oh, it's AJ Brown for sure. Like Smith isn't close to Brown regardless of what happens this week.
So, and then Dallas, you're fine with Brandon Cooks apparently. That is a wild world that I'm not living in. I'm not there. I'm dead in this universe. No thank you. I will play 60 plus other guys over Brandon Cooks.
He's 2 touchdowns in 4 weeks, and that's with CD there, dude. Yeah. So
not in this matchup. I'm sorry. I don't. What do you mean this matchup? Don't see
where Jaden Daniels dropped 5 passing touchdowns on this defense, where Adam Thielen ripped up this defense. Yeah. The last couple weeks, you could pass on Philly.
I would rather play Adam Thielen.
Oh, 100%. Brandon Cooks. Thielen's been killing it.
None of the other. I will play Brandon Cooks over the other Washington guys that aren't Terry McLaurin. So there you go. I will not play Alime, Zacchaeus, or no.
But that guy's good enough to drop 2 touchdowns on Philly, but Brandon Cooks isn't good enough to get 1.
I think it's a Jaden Daniels thing. It is a quarterback thing. That's the problem. It's not a talent thing for me with Cookie. It's Cooper Rush, who I just praised, playing good, but
fine.
He's not Jaden Daniels.
I never said he was.
So I trust Jaden Daniels to get my ho-hum guys involved. I don't necessarily trust Cooper Rush
11
to do
tutties to 3 picks this year? Nah, dog. I'm cool with Cooper Rush getting that ball to Cooks. I'm cool with it.
If I'm playing a Cowboys offensive guy, it's Jake Ferguson. Just gross.
Oh, I'd still rather Rico.
Workload. I meant from the passing game.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say horrendous matchup for Rico, but I would still play Rico Dowdle. I'm cool with that. He was tough. It was tough last week too against Tampa. I get it, but I think you're cool with Rico. You can flex him. Ah, man. Yeah, it's tough. I get Ferguson's playing tight end, so it's an easier start at tight end. But I think I'd rather play Cooks over Ferguson in the flex if I had to play one of them.
So we brought up the Rico Dowdle 1,000-yard watch, and he only had 20 yards last week, so he needs 97 yards in these last 2 games to get that get that 1,000. Chase Brown surpassed him, so Chase Brown at 923. Are they both going to get it?
Brown's definitely going to get it. Rico, it's going to be a little bit rougher. They got Philly this week and then Washington next. So I think he gets it, though. I think it's going to be pretty close.
Let's say you can run on Washington.
Yeah, he'll be a little over 1,000, I think.
Yeah. Who wins?
Philly,
regardless?
Yeah, regardless.
Okay. I agree. I'm also going with Philadelphia. I hope Dallas wins, though. I'm pulling for the Cowboys.
To be honest, me too, because Dallas has just straight up played themselves out of a good draft pick.
But now they might have played themselves into the range where they can reasonably draft Ashton Jeanty.
See, I think you can pull the trigger on Jeanty whenever. Bijan went top 8.
Dallas needs a line. If I wouldn't be taking Jeanty over Will Campbell or Kelvin Banks if they're there.
I get that, but do you think Dallas gives a fuck what they need? Jerry Jones is clinically insane at this point.
They're great drafters, though.
Notoriously.
So,
but Jeanty's gonna play out regardless. It's still a great pick.
Maybe.
Jeanty's gonna work out.
He's got a ton of work on his body, so there's the floor. He's also real tiny. He's small. He's small for an NFL back.
Don't matter.
There are flaws. Ashton Jeanty's not Bijan Robinson.
No,
He's a great
He
prospect.
doesn't have the hands.
Yeah. I like his pass work. I'm worried about his workload and
I like his pass work too,
frame.
but Bijan was an elite pass catcher coming out.
Oh, yeah. Carolina, the Panthers, they go to Tampa Bay, take on the Bucks. The Bucks are 7.5-point home favorites. Over under 48.5 points. This one's a good one.
It's a lot of points.
This breaks up our bad games because now we go on a stretch of 3 that are under 40. So, start of the week, Bucky Irving, lock him in. Carolina, terrible rush defense. You can play Rachaad White too. Rachaad White's also a good play this week.
I think Rachaad White's also a really good play. I think both of them are starts.
Because of Carolina being terrible against the run, teams don't pass on them a ton, so they're technically a bad matchup for receivers. They're sort of middle of the pack, but you're not going to bench Mike Evans. He's on the quest for the 1,000 yards. I expect a heavy workload. The question is Jalen McMillan, who is scoring touchdowns left and right. He's put it together. He's been playing a lot better football and has essentially phased Cade Otton out of this offense on top of Cade Otton being injured.
Yeah, exactly.
So are you cool with McMillan this week?
Yep. Cade Otton's still not practicing at all. Shepard's also banged up. They're both not practicing.
Your new favorite receiver, Cookie, Brandon Cooks.
Oh, McMillan. McMillan for sure. I think you are really over-exaggerating how much I'm going to start Brandon Cooks. But McMillan has just been playing so well the last 3 weeks, 3 or 4. I think it's been 3. 2 touchdowns, a touchdown, another touchdown, 4 in the last 3 games, averaging around 65 yards. So, yeah, I'm cool with McMillan.
Yeah, me too.
Him or Thielen?
I'll play Thielen because Thielen's the one.
I agree. I would take Thielen
That's what
over
I'll give
McMillan.
the edge to.
Thielen's just been playing so good, dude.
I also like Jalen Coker for Carolina this week. Not as much as Thielen or McMillan, but I would play Coker over Brandon Cooks.
It depends. Leggett is practicing again. He's limited, but he's back at practice.
Leggett being on the field doesn't shy me away from Jalen Coker.
Oh, man. We're talking with CeeDee Lamb on the field. Cooks outscored Coker last week.
Coker just missed a touchdown, though. He has that touchdown. He's over.
I get that. But, nah, give me Cooks, dog.
Cook and Coke.
Hey, yo, going to jail for that.
Yeah. Chuba Hubbard. Tampa's been a lot better at stopping the run since Vita Vea came back. So that's what you're looking at the matchup, though. It's green in most places. Tampa Bay's a green matchup for running backs. And last time Chuba Hubbard played Tampa, it was abysmal for him.
It was literally 12 for 43 and a fumble.
And no that fumble was in overtime that cost them the game.
Yeah, he's only had 2 games all season, 3 games week 1. 3 games where he's just had no passing work, and one of them was Tampa Bay. I expect him to have a huge bounce back week compared to that other game versus Tampa. I expect over 65 yards and a couple catches here and there. I think Chuba's got a really good 4.
Yeah. And that's it for this game. Baker's a good play.
Play Baker, for sure.
Bryce Young, if you really want to get dirty.
Bryce Young is another one of the 3 quarterbacks that I would think, like our league, obviously, we're 12 teams, and a lot of teams have 2 quarterbacks. So, like, when I was looking at the market, it was like Russell Wilson, Bryce Young, Drake May, like quarterbacks like Mason Rudolph, Kenny Pickett, obviously, Cooper Rush, guys that I just wouldn't feel confident. Cooper Rush, especially this week. But, man, Bryce Young has a really good matchup this week. And last week, he had a huge game versus Arizona's first 3 touchdown performance in the NFL. On paper, Bryce Young is a streamable option. It's definitely a low end stream. Mm-hmm. But hey, man, people be hurting with Jalen Hurts.
And Vegas is expecting a shootout here. Under 48.5.
Huge over under. You just got to hope it doesn't all go to Chuba.
Yep. Who wins?
Tampa.
Agree. Oh, man, we've been chalk.
We have.
Okay, here we go. 3 gross games. We'll just run right through these. The Las Vegas Raiders go to New Orleans to take on the Saints. The Raiders are 1-point road favorites, over under of 38.
I actually think that's really disrespectful to the Raiders. I get that they are horrendous, but the Saints are worse.
Do you think this line implies Alvin Kamara might be out there?
I think this line implies Kamara and Chris Olave, who is back at practice. He logged a full practice today. Why? Why in the world are we practicing Chris Olave at full practice? So I think Vegas is expecting Olave and Kamara to be out there. I hope neither of them are.
Yeah, there's really no reason for them to be.
There's no reason
the Saints
at all.
aren't playing for anything.
I get Kamara wanting to be out there. He has a chance to have his first ever 1,000-yard rushing season. He has the most carries in NFL history without having 1,000 yards in a season. But there is zero reason. There's honestly negative reasons for Chris Olave to be out there. Do not risk this man, especially Derek Carr. Like, there's talk Derek Carr might play. He's been practicing.
Man,
what is New Orleans doing?
If Carr, Olave, and Kamara are out there,
it's completely different.
Make the bet on the Saints right now at +1.
That is true. Yeah, for sure.
I think they beat Vegas easily if they got their 3 key pieces.
Oh, 100%.
Kendre Miller, though, did not perform without Alvin Kamara. The tough matchup, though, against Green Bay.
You can't risk it.
It's tough. The only way you're playing Kendre Miller is if you're the Alvin Kamara owner, and he's your pivot.
Man, if he's your pivot, that's rough, dude. Because like Pittsburgh's already played. They got good pivot backs. If Tajay Spears is out there, I try to pivot to him.
Yeah.
Easily over Kendre Miller.
Yeah, but you would assume Spears has already picked up.
I would assume so. He's had had 2 great weeks.
Yeah, I'm saying the only world where you're putting Kendre Miller in your lineup is if you're the Alvin Kamara owner and he's your just pivot option.
Yeah, I would agree to that.
Vegas, Jacoby Myers, reliable guy. You can put him in. He's got a great floor. Brock Bowers, incredible. Just keep him in your lineup. You're not benching him. The running backs, Amir Abdullah and Alexander Madison.
I would lean Madison over Abdullah. I get Amir Abdullah had a better fantasy outing the last 2 weeks. He's pulling in a ton of catches. But Madison also had 7 targets last week, so his targets are right there with Abdullah.
Yeah, and this game, they're probably not going to have to pass a ton, so that might veer out both of them. But I would lean Abdullah. I'm pro Abdullah in that, since their bye week, he's gone over 10 points 4 times. Yeah. 4 out of 6 games.
I'm
and
pro
the one game
Abdullah in full point PPR.
Yeah.
In any other standard, I'm going Madison.
Yeah. So, yeah. I would lean Abdullah in PPR. I half PPR as well. I would lean Abdullah over Madison, but Vegas, chances are they're not down a ton, so they might not be passing to Abdullah. But so I think he is just showing more juice.
Helps no one.
It's who yeah.
If someone has both of them, you and I talking about them, this has helped no one. Yes. He's sitting there like, well, they didn't give me an answer.
Well,
one of them gave me one answer, and the other one gave me the other answer.
Okay, well, I don't think it's close. That's where I
think it's close. I really do.
See, I don't. I think the gap between Abdullah and Madison is big. Abdullah to me has shown juice. Madison's stuff has just been gross work.
But a lot of his
Abdullah actually looks good.
A lot of his games are because Madison wasn't there. He missed 3 of those bye week games after the bye.
Well, Madison was there last week, and he got...
Yeah, Madison's been there 16 points.
Madison's been there the last 2 weeks, and Abdullah has broken 19 in full PPR the last 2 weeks.
The first game back was his first. He played in 30% of snaps, being Madison.
Yeah, I don't care. I think Abdullah's the better player at this point. He looks better than Madison.
I disagree. I think Sleeper even disagrees, having him 3 points projected more. I would go Madison over Abdullah.
Yeah. Abdullah, and it's not close for me. Who wins this game?
Vegas.
No, I'm picking the Saints. I'm going with the home team.
If Spencer Rattler's out there, he cannot win a game.
Nope. I'm going with New Orleans. Somehow it falls into play. I don't know how. Vegas tanks. Maybe they put in Desmond Ritter.
They don't. They're out there playing the win. They've already talked about it. Pierce is dumb.
I know, but Pierce is. Yeah. He might keep his job, too, which is the crazy part.
I hope he does, because Vegas doesn't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I'm going with New Orleans. Tennessee and Jacksonville. Jaguars are 1-point home favorites, an over-under of 39.5. We got 2 starts of the week in this game. Chick Conquo, tight end, Brian Thomas Jr. They're both great plays. Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears, you can mess around with them. I'd be more comfortable with them than I would ETN and Bigsby. I just never know where Jacksonville's going with their backfield.
Definitely. I would rather Tajay Spears over all of them.
Yeah, and then Calvin Ridley, I think, is a fine play.
Yeah, I look at Tennessee as I'm cool with Spears in the flex. I like Ridley as a wide receiver 2 flex play, and then Chig as a starting tight end this week.
Not messing around with Brenton Strange anymore.
Nope.
Yep. So who wins this game then? This one's easy. In terms of just playing players. Not easy pick 'em. This is a toss-up game.
Oh, wow. Oh, man.
Fantasy-wise, we feel like we're pro-Tennessee. We had more players who were more comfortable with Tennessee than Ridley, Okonkwo.
Honestly how I'm looking at this. I'm going to go with Tennessee.
I think Jacksonville wins. I think their player, I think Brian Thomas Jr. is better than those other guys, and he wins in this game. I think Mac Jones is a little bit better than Mason Rudolph, too. Mac Jones plays more loose, more free. Like he does, but Mason Rudolph plays. He's conservative. He's not willing to huck a chuck it.
But sometimes that loosiness in close games blows it. Yeah. I'd be cool with Mason Rudolph. Oh God, I don't want either of those guys. If I had to start one of them, I'm starting Mason Rudolph in fantasy football. I'm starting both of them in a league. So that is true.
Mac Jones is locked in. I wasn't benching him at all. I would start Mac Jones over Mason Rudolph. Huge ceiling, Mac Jones. He's playing fun football.
His ceiling's not much higher than Mason Rudolph's. His high on the season's 26 in our league, and Mason Rudolph's high is 23. So his ceiling, it's 25 actually. He had a week 8 versus Detroit where he had 25. So his ceiling's not higher than. They're like the exact same quarterback. They're literally the exact same quarterback. God. Yeah, give me Tennessee in this game.
Okay. Miami travels to Cleveland to take on the Browns. Dolphins are 6.5 point road favorites, over under of 39.5. Cleveland, Jerome Ford and David Njoku. I don't think you could play Jerry Jeudy with Dorian Thompson-Robinson out there.
Yeah, I agree. He's not good enough to get the ball to Jeudy. And Miami's a pretty rough matchup to the receivers. Yeah. Cleveland is literally just Ford and Njoku.
Yep. Jalen Waddle was back at practice. You putting him in your lineup or no?
Not necessarily.
Nope.
If you're hurting terribly, sure, but try to find a way out of it.
How comfortable are you with Tyreek Hill, who hasn't been necessarily great this year?
In full point PPR, oh God. Would I be able to accept losing a championship because I benched Tyreek Hill? No. You have to play Tyreek Hill. You have to play Tyreek Hill.
Yeah. Tyreek Hill, 11-9 last week in PPR, 5-6 the week before that, then 28, 20, 9, 19, 11, 12, 13, 2. It just doesn't feel like he's hitting that ceiling anymore.
So the Dolphins' offense is completely different than it's been. But he's still wide receiver 19 on the year, so he's still a wide receiver 2.
Yeah. I'm playing him. It's just...
It is what it is.
You're not... he's not the player he's not the player you drafted him to be.
Yeah, if I was playing against Tyreek, I'm looking on the other side, and I'm not too worried, as in prior years, I'd be like, oh, I could lose just because of Tyreek Hill.
Yep.
But to be honest, I was looking at my opponent, and I'm like, oh, he's got Travis Kelce. I'm not too worried. And then Travis Kelce was somehow 100% of the time open last night. God damn Pittsburgh. That shit was insane. Just let's not cover Kelsey. It's fine. He's garbage now.
Miami does have a guy on the offense that does strike that fear, and it's Devon Achane.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
And Jonnu Smith, you're going to play him too. He's been great.
He's been amazing
for tight ends. Yep. And Devon Achane, RB1, the top 12 running back this year, especially when 2 is in.
Jonnu has, if you're picked up Jonnu and you have one of the elite tight ends, Kittle, McBride, I'd be cool starting Jonnu in the flex in full point PPR. He's been over double digits every week since week 12 or week 11. He's gone over 10. So I'm cool with both those guys. I'm in the third
place game. I had Jonnu with Trey McBride, and Jonnu just was in on my bench. Third place game. I'm just playing the guys I want to play. I'm not worried about matchups or winning. So I threw Jonnu in my lineup. I'm riding in Jonnu Smith and Trey McBride.
I think he's a flexible option if you have 2 tight ends.
Yep. Miami win?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Miami wins. All right. Potential game of the week. The Green Bay Packers go to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. This got flexed to a 4:00 game. The Vikings are 1-point home favorites over under a 48.5. Green Bay's defense has been really good. Mm-hmm. So Sam Darnold, you playing him this week?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. Him or Goff?
I like Goff's matchup a little bit more.
Okay. What about my start of the week, Justin Herbert against New England?
I'd probably lean Darnold just a little bit, but it's not far off.
Kyler Murray?
No, Darnold.
Okay. Same game, Jordan Love.
Darnold.
Okay, I would go Love.
That one's rough. I would probably go Darnold, but Love's right there with Herbert and all those guys.
Aaron Jones, revenge game. You're going to try to get him a touchdown again. They didn't get him the last time the Packers and Vikings played.
Mm-hmm.
I think you could play him. You're obviously playing Justin Jefferson. Yep. I also think you lock in Jordan Addison as well. I don't think he's a guy you take out of your lineup at this point.
Yeah, no. Even like the last 2 weeks haven't been huge weeks. Full point PPR, it's been 13, 14.5. Like, he has the upside of doing
that's a good floor for Jordan Addison.
Exactly. And he has the upside of doing a 40 bomb where he has 3 touchdowns. So Addison's in your lineup. He's got you here.
Hawkinson's a tougher one. Green Bay, a decent matchup against tight ends.
It's a good matchup on paper.
You could play him, but like Hawkinson doesn't have a ceiling this year, and he's not getting PPRing his way to big games. Like, he's still obviously recovering from the ACL injury. You're playing Chicago over him. I would also, I would play Jonnu Smith easily over him. Mm-hmm. I would play Sam Laporta over him this week.
What about Njoku?
Yeah, I would go with Njoku. Like, he got a ton of targets there, whereas, Addison and Jefferson aren't yielding too much to TJ Hawkinson.
I honestly would have loved Hawkinson to play a full season just to see the him versus Trey McBride who can score a touchdown first battle. Because Hawkinson also has 0 fucking touchdowns on the year. And he has a ton of targets since he's come back in week 9. He's had 9 targets, 6, 7, 5, 4, 3, like a ton of targets all throughout the season. Still goose egg on the touchdowns, though. So,
yep.
I finally benched him. He's about to get into the end zone, everybody.
Yeah. Next year, we'll get to hopefully see both of them fully healthy for a touchdown battle. Green Bay. Jordan Love, I think, a fine play, low in QB1.
Yeah.
The receivers, Minnesota's the pass funnel, but
which one you pulling the trigger with? Yep. Jordan Reed, I'm most comfortable with.
Yep, Jaden Reed would be the one.
Jaden, I always call him Jordan.
Yeah, tight end Jordan Reed. Shout out, that guy won me a title once. Yeah, Jaden Reed would be 1. I would put Watson 2 and Romeo Doubs 3.
I would put Dobbs 2, Watson 3. Watson got hurt last week.
Okay.
He's not practicing.
Did he log?
No,
okay,
he's not practicing.
So Watson, if he plays, he provides the biggest ceiling.
Oh, for sure, yeah. For sure.
Yeah. Josh Jacobs, though, he's been
out of this world.
Dominant.
Rough
Minnesota,
matchup, though.
tough to run. Is this where Josh Jacobs comes back to earth? Like, you're not going to pull Josh Jacobs out of your lineup in championship week, but this is a week where you might have to temper those expectations. He's in full PPR. He has had over 20 points every week since week 11.
So week 1 through 9, he had 3 touchdowns. They had their bye week, week 10, since week 11 through 16. So 6 games, he has 10 touchdowns.
In full PPR, he has broke 20 points 8 of the last 9 games.
Yeah. Now versus Minnesota, I don't know if he can pull the 20-point mark, but I still think he has a good outing.
Yeah. I think he gets, in full PPR, you're looking at probably his floor is 12 and his ceiling is 18. So a great range to put in. It's not like Joe Mixon, where Joe Mixon just had these terrible matchups and just had no work. Like, Josh Jacobs is the focal point here.
Yeah, for sure. Like, he's broke double digits. Did you bring it up that he broke double digits every game except one all season?
No, I only brought up the stretch of 20
points. He's super consistent, even if he hasn't scored a ton of touchdowns early on. He was still putting up a good amount of yards, 73, 62, 76, 127, 65. Like, he's putting in the work now where it's coming together fully. He's getting the yards. He's getting the touchdowns. Josh
Jacobs was our initial send out to sea guy.
We were out 100%.
Before the season started.
100%.
And then Tucker Kraft. Him or TJ Hawkinson.
Neither. Hawkinson?
I would play Hawkinson.
Yeah,
over Kraft.
Yeah. Kraft he's full blown touchdown dependent.
Yep, he's the opposite of TJ Hawkinson.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I would go with the receipt. Watson's not playing, so that might benefit. But it's usually Dobbs. It's always yes. Dobbs. Yeah. So I would still play Hawkinson over there. And then who wins on Sunday?
Dude, this is gonna be a legitimate battle in the Coliseum, dude. Give me Minnesota. Take the better team.
I think the Packers win.
Gross.
I do.
I have some type of feeling the Packers are going to win, but it's like Minnesota at home. I'll take my chances there.
Yeah. I'm picking the Packers.
Oh, crazy. How do you feel about ending the season with Detroit and then going into a playoff game?
So, fine, actually.
But hear me out. If you guys beat Detroit, it's so crazy that like the difference in this game makes. Like, whoever wins you versus Detroit most likely has the 1 seed in the NFC.
Well, the Vikings have to win this game.
Well, yeah, but
the Vikings have to win out to get that.
Yes, but I'm saying there's a possibility that whoever wins Detroit, you guys, gets the 1 seed, and then they have a bye week, and then all of the playoff games go through their stadium. But if you lose that game, you fall to the 5 seed, where you have to play the next week, where you have to play on the road, regardless of where you are. That's is looking huge like it's difference.
There's a chance it's Tampa and Atlanta, which as a Vikings fan, that's preferred.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to LA and play the Rams.
No. That's a setup. Yeah. That is a trap game.
I think if the Vikings lose this game on Sunday, they're resting their players against Detroit.
I agree.
Their seed's locked at 5. They're not moving.
Yeah, you guys. So you're too good to fall past 5.
Real healthy going into that playoff game, but I do think the Packers win this game. Sunday Night Football, Atlanta goes to Washington to take on the Commanders. The Commanders are 4-point home favorites, over under 47.5. Jaden Daniels, your start of the week, lock in. Great play. Terry McLaurin, great play. Brian Robinson, not so much. Yeah, I'm iffy on that. I'd be trying to pivot if I could.
If he can hang on to the ball, he's a good start.
Yeah,
but who knows if that's going to happen.
Tough to run on Atlanta.
It is.
Tough to run on Atlanta, so I would be trying to move. I would rather play Jerome Ford than Brian Robinson.
Excuse you, boss. Sorry about that. Oh, yeah, for sure. Jerome Ford has been amazing the last 2 weeks. Like, he's been getting hot at the right time where Brian Robinson has been cooling off tremendously at the wrong time.
Yeah, this happened last year. Brian Robinson, not great down the back end of the year. Real good front.
it's hard matchups. Like New Philly's a rough matchup.
Yeah.
And he had a bye week 2 weeks ago, so that takes into play of just getting cold.
Since Austin Eckler got hurt, Brian Robinson's kind of been
completely
down.
different. Yeah, his touchdown opportunity is not the same.
Yeah, so I would try to pivot if I could from Brian Robinson, and Zach Ertz is a fine floor play at tight end, but
well, where's your line for Robinson? Would you go him or the Vegas guys?
I would still go with Robinson just because, even though my conviction on Amir Abdullah is he's far and away better than Madison, there's still two backs there.
Him or Rico
I'm not
Dowdle?
worried. I would go Dowdle in the tougher matchup.
Tyron Tracy?
Tracy, easy.
Okay.
Tracy was almost my start of the week.
Whoa.
I have conviction in Tyrone Tracy this week.
Hey, man, I hope so.
I think he's... Atlanta, then, it's Drake London, it's Bijan Robinson, and Darnell Mooney. I think you could put in the flex.
You can still look at Darnell Mooney. He had a pretty good game versus the Jets with Penix, so I don't expect things to change too much. And he was the one I was worried about. So
yeah, and then I'm not streaming Penix, and I'm cutting Kyle Pitts.
Hey, man. If some team has miraculously made it all the way to the playoffs starting Kyle Pitts every game, I'm not changing up my mentality. Yeah. I would be too superstitious. I would have to play Kyle Pitts just based off superstition. But if you have somehow made it here with Kyle Pitts, you are a god at fantasy football. Your team is stacked from head to toe except tight end.
Really...
Yeah, do not start Kyle Pitts. Go out and pick up Jake. Go pick up fucking anybody.
Jake Ferguson. I would start him over Kyle Pitts.
100%. Yeah.
All right. Who wins on Sunday night?
Washington.
I agree. Washington wins. And then finally, Monday Night Football. Detroit travels to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. The Lions are 3.5-point road favorites, over under 50.5. Give me everybody in this, except Debo.
But give me Debo.
Debo's fine. He's the one I'm least confident in of the group. Amon-Ra, Sam Laporta, Jameson Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jared Goff. Great plays, all 5 of them. Niners, I like Brock Purdy this week. I think he's a good stream option.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jawan Jennings is a great play this week. If Garendo's playing, I would have more confidence in Debo probably, because it's tough to run on Detroit.
Yeah, I would probably lean Debo over Garendo, but I'm still cool with Garendo in your flexes as well.
And then Kittle, lock in. You're not moving on from George Kittle.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I'm starting. This game's going to be great. I'm so excited. I hope to God my game, if it has to come down to Monday, it's fine. Hopefully I'm winning before the Monday game. That would be a godsend. But I'm expecting another Monday Night Miracle possibility here. And I'm glad I got a guy in this game. It's going to hopefully be a very high-scoring game.
If the Vikings beat the Packers on Sunday, I will be the biggest 49ers fan on Monday.
I believe it.
Yeah. Who wins?
Give me Detroit. The Niners aren't that good. They're all beat up.
Yeah.
Like I get
Detroit's also beat up.
I get that. And Detroit, no one's beat up more than Detroit, but Detroit's still being able to pull it together. San Fran hasn't been able to pull shit out of their hat all season.
San Fran's beat up is literally all their superstars. Trent Williams,
Williams, McCaffrey,
Ayuk.
Yeah.
So I'm also taking Detroit. All right, that's week 17, championship week.
Championship week, baby. We've made it.
All right. We promised you guys a prospect spotlight. We usually do that Tuesday, but we're going to do that today. I'll kick it off here. I'm wearing the hat for a reason. Not just because they're my favorite college team, but I'm diving into one of my favorite offensive tackle prospects in the draft, and that's Ariante Ursary from my Minnesota Golden Gophers. So you brought up Will Campbell a few weeks ago. I've brought up in name passing Kelvin Banks.
Mm-hmm.
They're the consensus really top 2 guys, but those guys can play guard. There's questions with them regarding like their frame, their build, and they can move around. That ain't happening with Ariante Ursary. This dude is 6'6", 330 pounds. He is your prototypical left tackle. and he plays it.
Mm-hmm.
He plays big, incredible strength. If this guy locks into you, you're dunzo bunzo, baby. He plays low. He's got good spatial awareness, good passable pass protector. He does need work in that, but he's an incredible run blocker. Minnesota, the Gophers run the ball a ton. They got a great rushing attack there with PJ Fleck, but Arion Harrison is one of the best run blocking tackles in college. He does struggle though. If you can get under him with those speed power rushers, you're good. If you can get through him, he plays a little high, so his balance is a little off. He's got to really learn to anchor down. He does have some weakness there, but you can't get around this dude. His arm length is incredible. Like I said, he's 6'6", 230, incredible wingspan. If you're trying to cut around this dude, he's got you locked down. You're not passing him on the edge. You can get through him. Like I said, he plays high. Balance is a little off. Really needs to work on his anchor. That's his real big weakness. But he is, to me, like the prototypical guy. Like build frame wise, I think the NFL's going to love him just because like he is a lock set tackle. There's no question about that. Whereas like Will Campbell, he's got shorter arms. You can play him at guard. Kelvin Mack's a little smaller. You can play him at guard. Arion Harrison to me is a franchise left tackle, and it wouldn't surprise me if he ends up, if he has a strong combine, he could be the first tackle off the board just based off how he's built.
Yeah.
And he's already declared he's in the draft. Lock him in. He was a 3-star recruit in 2020. He did track and field. He did shot put, discus, javelin, all the big time stuff. He was a big team, first team all Big Ten in 2023. He's a great player. Like I said, zone-based run scheme. I think San Francisco, he reminds me of Trent Williams, just the way he plays. I know that's a big comp because Trent Williams, Hall of Famer. I think San Francisco should be looking at trying to get this guy in there, sit behind Trent Williams for a year, and just learn and grow. I think that highly of Ariante Ursary.
Yeah, I expect him to be a tackle day one, for sure. The other guys can kick inside. I hope they do get their chance to tackle in the NFL to prove that they're worthy, but yeah, he's going to be a tackle. His rookie season, week 1, he'll be on a team's offensive tackle, right or left, most likely left. He's good. He's got the clamps. Give me the clamps. Speaking of good hands, Caleb Johnson, running back from Iowa, tremendous ball skills for a running back, like holding the ball wise. He doesn't fumble too often. He's got excellent ball vision. He makes quick cuts. His eyes are always looking at holes. He knows where to find them, when to find them. He's super patient, waiting for the hole to develop. He's not going to preempt it, run through an offensive line, and then not find a hole. He always waits for the hole to open, and when he finds that hole, he hits it. This is going to sound super out of pocket. He hits the hole hard, dog.
Pause.
Hey, yo. But no, for real, though. He hits the hole super hard. He's really athletic. His top speed isn't great. He's like a 4.5 kind of guy, but he can get to his top speed really fast. So he's easy to catch on long runs from the back, but his initial burst, he's gone. He's through the line. He's hitting the linebackers quick. He's breaking arm tackles. He's elite balance. Like, he's balancing off guys left and right. It's very Bucky Irving-like the way he breaks tackles. But he's a huge back too. He's like 6 foot 225. So he's got good size. He's still quick. He's got good athleticism. He's got good like catching ability too. He's 25 targets. He's brought in 22 of them this season. So like his stats for his receiving game, it's not great, but he's still developing into an all-around 3-down back. He's going to be a workhorse back, and he fights for extra downs. I wish 5 downs. He's that good. Now he fights for extra yards.
Well, if he
always
gets to the first down, you get an extra down essentially.
And he gets the first by falling forward. Like he's a fall forward kind of runner, and that's what you want in the NFL. It's gonna translate. His game is really good. He's got prototypical size. He's got like 1,700 yards, 21 touchdowns this year for Iowa, which is a great school. And it's not just a one-season kind of thing. Last season, he was a little banged up. His stats weren't great. But his freshman year, he set the freshman record for Iowa, 770 yards, a couple tutties. He was a gamer since day one for Iowa, and it is proven this season. This season, he was able to get the workload. He put everything together. I expect him to go in the first 2 days. He's going to be like a day. He doesn't fall past the third.
I think he could sneak into the first round. I think he's that talented.
I think he's
it's just
I think
positional value.
I agree. I think he's a late first, second round guy. And hopefully, God, the NFL sees it the same way. But the NFL sees running backs weird. So there's a chance he falls to the third round, but I don't see that happening. I expect him to be gone by day 2. He's an elite prospect in my eyes. I have him in my top 40 players for sure. So I'm a big fan of Caleb Johnson. And he comes from Iowa, dude. Like, Iowa produces dogs. Like,
They produce those meat and potato players.
Exactly. Like tight ends, running backs, linemen. Like, and the attitude you have coming out of Iowa, it translates to the NFL. So I expect Caleb Williams to be. He's probably going to be in a rotation right off the bat.
Caleb Johnson. You said Caleb Williams.
Yes, Caleb Williams. I did. I expect Caleb Johnson to be in a rotation his first year or two, but I expect him to be a workhorse NFL back in the future at some point.
Yeah, no, he was a guy I was a little late on because I start with running backs. They're the
I start with running backs for sure.
So you kind of grade out and venture. Plus, like I love watching them. I actually didn't start watching till they were playing Minnesota, and I'm like, who the fuck is this running back just bodying,
dominating people?
Great defense. So I look into him like, dude, this guy's incredible. So like, I watched him. I'm like, wow, this guy. I did not expect to have him. Like, I'd have to like rewatch stuff, but like he was in my top 5 running backs. I think.
For sure. I have him as RB3 behind Genty, and then the kid from UNC would be my 2.
Hampton.
But Johnson, he's my RB3. There's a chance there's a chance he ends up RB2 though. I do really like his skills. He's just super patient. He's a great runner, dude. I love north to south runners. I don't need a guy that's going to kick it to the outside and make all this fancy stuff happen. He's just a ball hog, dude. Like, he's very Frank Gore. Like, he'll run through that line. He'll find the hole. And when he finds that hole, dude, he's gone. That's a 60, 70-yard rush touchdown. Multiple all season. I think he's got a pretty bright future.
Yeah. I can't wait to dive into our rankings. That's going to be the future here.
Nothing against fantasy football, man. I love it. But this is our first year doing like a podcast with fantasy football.
Tapped out.
I'm drained, brother. Dog. I'm trying to make it through these championships. I'm in 3 or 4 finals. One of them's a money league. They're all with really good friends. I'm in our home week finals. So I'm just like, just make it one more week, dude. You got it. And then...
Yeah, there will be... Sorry if you're in a Week 18 championship league. Change that. There will be no fantasy football. We'll maybe briefly talk stuff, but we're not full diving into things next week. But there you go.
We'll be here for Week 18. We'll try to get you through it. But first off, go to your commissioner. And if you are the commissioner, change it for next year. No league should be playing in Week 18. It is dumb. It is not called for. The fantasy football season ends this week. It's over. We're done. We made it.
So we'll be prospect heavy going forward here. I think we're doing a mock draft next week.
Whoa.
Spoiler alert. Yeah, baby. First real early pre-combine mock draft. All right.
First mock.
Caleb Johnson there, running back Iowa. Love it. Ariante Ursery, offensive tackle, Minnesota here. Prospect Spotlight Series sponsored by our friends over at Dubby. We didn't forget them. Had those days where you need that little pick-me-up, and Dubby's got the stuff for you. They pride themselves on full transparency, ingredient disclosure, no sugars, no calories, no artificial dyes, no fillers. They got a mobile app. Search Dubby, D-U-B-B-Y, on your Play Store or Google, Apple App Store, or the Google Play Store. You'll find them. Use the code, draft it up at checkout. Nice 10% discount. Support our friends over at Dubby. Support the podcast. That's Dubby Energy, D-U-B-B-Y. Be better and get that dub with Dubby Energy. And that's the podcast.
Eat that
folks.
dub.
Week 17 preview in the books. You got a prospect series. We'll see you guys Monday. We're changing our schedules. It's going to be Monday, Thursdays now, going forward for a bit. And then over the summer, it might be a little different, but we'll try to stay set to Monday, Thursday. Drafted Up Podcast, you know where to find us. At @DraftedUp_pod on Twitter. Search Drafted Up Podcast, Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Like, rate, subscribe, review, share, tell a friend. That's Nick. I'm Theo. This is the podcast. Adios.
Good luck in your championships. If you made it, you need it. Bye, y'all.
Get those third place wins.